Welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel every day leading up to Halloween. It chooses the horror movie, and they discuss it. Today we're talking about 1960's Eyes Without a Face, which was directed by Georges Frangieux. I am your co-host, Alec.
I'm Eric, and with us again is Peter Getz. Peter, welcome back to the show.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Alec, you really sound like one of those voiceover podcast guys.
Yeah, I am. I'm a voiceover podcast guy. I guess you could say that. But yeah, welcome back, Peter. Dude, we haven't seen you in was it 2 years?
It'd be 2 years in April, right?
Yes, exactly. It was April 2021 when I was stranded in New York for a bit while I was waiting for my visa.
Right.
Yeah, we did Rambo, our First Blood Part 1,
yeah,
which was a lot of fun. I actually listened to some of that episode again and it made me laugh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Peter, I remember you writing the lyrics down to the end song and being so enamored with with the lyrics from that movie. You remember that?
Yes, and I remember researching the knife because I saw that it had a credit in the film, and I had to go back and figure out why was a knife credited in the film, but it was a pretty important knife, so I get why.
Huh. Market that shit, print Rambo on it, sell it for a lot of money. That's what we got to do. That's what it's about.
Well, now we're talking about another movie with a lot of knives. We're talking about an early 60s French film called Eyes Without a Face. Or actually, Peter, would you mind trying to pronounce it in French?
It is called Je suis don't know how to say without a face in French.
It's pretty good.
That was not bad. That was good.
I guess right off the bat, none of us have ever seen this, right?
No, not me at least.
Yeah, Eric, I'm going to assume no.
I've seen this 100 times. No, I haven't seen it once. No, it's the first time I've seen it.
Yeah. So the way that I kind of came across this film is there's a Billy Idol song called Eyes Without a Face. And I listened to it years ago. And for some reason, I just thought it was a really cool song. They sing in French, just the words "Eyes Without a Face," and I was like, "All right, well, I want to see, what's up with the song? What the hell does this mean?" So I looked up the song, and apparently, it's about this movie. And I was just like, "All right, well, what's this movie then?" So I looked into that, and it sounded like the most horrific, sort of hostile, almost kind of movie, but it's from the '60s. So I was like, how intense could this really be? And this was my first time actually watching it too. And I got to say, there's a couple scenes that I was like, yeah, this was pretty damn brutal.
Yeah, and definitely for the 60s, the scare factor, the horror factor is there. It is there because the scene where he's peeling off the person's face.
Yeah.
The special effects, yeah, they're today's standards, sure. But back then, it'll probably give you goosebumps.
I can't even imagine if you saw this in theaters, what you would have walked out of the theaters.
Gasping and everything. Yeah.
Just oh my God, they're actually peeling her face off. Oh my God.
All the French words, oh, suck le peu.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah, Peter, what did you think coming away from this?
When I was first watching it, I was like, this film is not really scary. It's just about this poor woman that has a problem with her face that we're also apparently not allowed to see. And 15 minutes in or so, I was like, wow, this is the least scary thing of all time. And then he has that other woman, and I was like, oh great, the surgery went well and she has a face again. And then realized no, this is a different woman. And then he was talking about taking her to the suburbs, and then from there it just went really bad.
Yeah, did you guys like it? I'm kind of curious because it's got an unbelievable reviews. So scary factor, I guess, kind of, but I don't know. Did you guys enjoy it?
I did. It reminded me a lot of Frankenstein, Pet Sematary. I know we just recently did Therese Does Alec, but with the harvesting organs and taking from other bodies for other people. But Frankenstein reminds me of a mad scientist, and Pet Sematary reminds me of what a parent would do for their kid, and how far they would go to save their child. Even though this what's it, Christina? How do you say it?
It's Christian.
Yeah, she's alive, but she's just so miserable and would rather be dead than have the face that she has. And it's such a cool idea, and it you can see other things deriving from this. Not that Frankenstein's way before this, but you know what I mean? You can see other movies and stuff picking from this and this from other films as well, and books. So it's a cool concept. I like it.
Like Face Off with Nicolas Cage.
There is another one. Yeah, Face Off. It also reminded me of Vanilla Sky with the mask that Tom Cruise wears in that movie when he mangles his face in a car accident.
That's a good point. Yeah, I did forget about that, actually.
Which is like a French thing, too. There's a lot of French ties to Vanilla Sky. But anyway, Peter, what were you saying, Alec?
Oh, no, I was just curious what Peter thought of it.
Yeah, Peter.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was really beautifully shot. I think we sort of skip over, I think, a lot of the films from the 60s, but they all have that film noir look. Like it's almost like they all hired the same cinematographers and the same lighting people or something for all of those films from that era, because they all kind of have that like spooky sort of like everybody looks kind of like a criminal or like a beauty star in that light.
Yeah.
I was very drawn in by the film, and like it hit at a good time, I think, for me to watch the film too, because I've been thinking about the way that things look nowadays and comparing it, I think, in my brain to like the beautiful black and white films from the 60s and from the 50s, and thinking about how like kind of like everything kind of looks like crap now compared to that.
Black and white films are just shot differently. You know, the lighting that goes into a black and white film, you're either lit or you're not in a black and white film, and it plays such a big role in black and white films, and this movie does a great job with the lighting, and I was really focusing on that, and also the fade-ins in between scenes, like going from something heavy that just happened to like, oh, now she's walking to the town, and it's a lost art. There's not a lot of black and white films these days, obviously.
Well, I guess a question then, because Peter, you saying everything looks like shit now. What if there was a movie like Nebraska or something like that is shot in black and white that comes out now? Do you still think it kind of looks like shit? Or do you think it was just like, the 60s just looked cleaner? Everyone was in suits, like there wasn't nose piercings. I don't know.
Like, what is it? The frame rate, the lighting, the acting? Like, what is it?
Okay, so I think that's a great question. It's sort of hard to qualify because it's almost like it could be because we have less expectations of a film that we know was made in the 60s. And so like the fact that it was made at all and that it looks good is such a huge thing. Or is it because like nowadays it's like, yeah, it's a black and white film, but like that guy has a nose piercing, and it's the quality of like people today that make it not as good. Also, I've never heard of Nebraska, but like that sounds like a terribly boring film.
Wow, Bruce Dern got nominated. I think he won Best Actor for that movie.
Yeah, that was an Academy Award winning film for sure.
Peter shit the bed on this one. Can I say shit?
Peter,
you're swearing on here too now, Peter
pooped the bed on that one.
No, but it is true though, dude. Like every black and white movie, especially older films like Psycho and this actually from the same year as Psycho, everything just looks better. It just looks cleaner, and people look. I mean, even though everybody's smoking cigarettes, like everybody just looks better still.
Somehow.
Yeah, I agree with you though, Peter. I really do. I just think that older films, we do give them a little bit of a pass, but the one thing I look at this film is I'm like, it's got a really good story, regardless of, because I feel like movies from the 60s, they basically are like, all right, let's show her walking from the car into the house, taking her jacket off and like opening up. It's just like, there's no cuts. It's just like a lot of long takes, and we're seeing everything these people do.
I didn't get that from this. Yeah.
No. But really quick, I just want to give a quick overview of the plot for this in case people haven't seen it, which I'm assuming most haven't. Basically, there's a doctor in France, in Paris, and his daughter and him got in a terrible car accident. He mangled his daughter's face beyond recognition. So yes, he faked her death so that he could essentially capture young women that kind of look like her, remove their faces, and try to apply it to his own daughter's face. So he's a well-respected doctor. Nobody really expects this of him. And he has this little assistant woman who I'm kind of confused about, and I want to know if you guys can kind of clear this up. So he has this is going to sound terrible, but he has his Ghislaine Maxwell. He's got the person that goes out and basically tries to like capture these young girls. Well, no, but is that not what it is?
Oh, here we go. Well, Alec, to clear up your confusion, he did this kind of surgery to her, and that's why she wears those pearl necklaces, because she has such a terrible marking there. But he made her look beautiful, and that's why she tries to instill like hope in Christian and let her know, like, hey, look what he did for me. Like, he can, and that's why she's so loyal and doing all this shit too.
Right. But here's my question. Here's what I'm confused about. So that woman, his Ghislaine, her face isn't getting all like messed up. Like it's not rotting or whatever. Because they do successfully get a new face on Christian, and it starts like, falling off within, it's like day 20. It looks like shit, like sort of thing. So why didn't that happen to her?
Yeah, and that's kind of where this movie starts off with. It starts off with him giving a seminar about this kind of procedure and how our bodies react to foreign things. And it's kind of like when you put A positive blood in someone who's like B negative, you can't do that because the body rejects it.
Right.
So that's what he's trying to do. And this is the point though. Like today's medical, it's there. Back then, whatever year this is supposed to be, is it 1960, 62? I don't know, but the technology isn't there, and he's also bitter about this. Like, we should be further along, because in the beginning you see him give the seminar, and these like two women come up to him like, oh my god, like, it's so amazing, I'm so looking forward to the future, and he's like, it should already be here by now.
Right.
So he's pushing this technology way too fast, and the risks involved are what makes this movie interesting, because yeah, it worked for the I'm not going to say Maxwell, but it worked for her, but his daughter, he can't get it to hold,
Why? So that's my question.
Because her body somehow is rejecting it. It's just nature at that point.
All right.
It's like maybe the Maxwell woman has like the universal donor kind of blood, and it works. And you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, it's like kind of like that.
Well, say that. I needed that.
I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor, Alec. I'm trying to
Peter,
figure it out. Peter, what do you got?
I think that there's a strong possibility that they're bringing morals into the face grafting. What were they calling it? Heterograft. And I think that the daughter, she had too strong of morals, and so her face was what's the word? Her like face pustules or whatever. We're not accepting other people's faces that were like going through this horrific process of having their face removed and then given to her.
It was rejecting the foreign body.
Yeah. I don't know what to call your face when you don't have a face on it. Like, I'm struggling to find the word. Like, is it just
muscles?
Yeah. Is it just face muscle?
I mean, probably. But okay, so what you're saying is like she's so disgusted with the fact that her father's doing this that like her body is like, I can't even do this sort of thing. So you think it's more of like her brain is rejecting and not the body?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you said it exactly right. I think that there's a bit of like her body is doing a moral judgment thing and saying, I'm not going to accept this face that's coming, off another.
I like that.
Unsuspecting.
And then Ghislaine Maxwell is just bad, so that's why her face was able to accept the other woman. Okay, and that's the other thing. I wanted to know why this doctor helped this woman, and why this woman's now like, I'm going to quit my job and go capture women for you. Like, you really saved my face back there, so now I'm completely indebted to you, including murder.
Well, he probably had to murder someone for her.
Yeah, so but that's the thing. I want to know that story. So I want to know the prequel story. I want to see eyes with a face,
You want to see the eyes before without a face.
Right. That's the title, Eyes Before Without a Face. Yeah. So really quick, back to the black and white thing again. The one scene that really stood out to me, that was in black and white, obviously, it's the most famous scene in the movie, is when they're cutting off that first woman's face. And that blood, as they're like, cutting around her chin or whatever, the blood just starts dripping. It's just like, it's like black. That scene just like, ugh, I don't know. And they're just like getting like the scalpels out and like holding it in place as they're doing it. It literally looks like Saw or Hostel, but in black and white and sexy and everybody smoking,
Very risky for the time. Almost too graphic, if you think about it. Way too graphic.
People were freaking out about Psycho, and they don't even show anything. I mean, they never show a knife actually hit anybody. They never show actual wounds or anything like that.
They just show like blood going down the drain.
Right, and it's chocolate, obviously. But this is like, hey, we're gonna like literally show you a woman's face getting torn off surgically.
What year was Psycho?
They're both 1960, both of these movies.
Oh well, there you go. That's crazy.
So I don't know. French people are just like, we don't really care. It's fine.
It kind of reminds me of that famous short film or whatever it was that Salvador Dali did with the eye in it. I don't know if there was any crossover or what the timing was of both of those videos or anything, but there's, they've had the same feeling of like, this is a little too close to the face and there's a lot happening, and now there's blood, and not sure how I feel about all this.
Right. I mean, geez, we kind of take stuff like this for granted nowadays. Like we're just like we're so desensitized to swearing and nudity and violence and all this stuff. But geez, man, like you think about it, like I think what was it, the Flintstones were the first time there was ever like a couple in the same bed, like